The Caitlyn Clark situation where Kennedy Carter side hipped her, basically checked her with a side move and whatever, knocking her to the ground. And it was national news because Caitlyn Clark has been taking quote unquote abuse. Now look, let's get to the WNBA, where Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese was ejected from the game last night against the New York Liberty after drawing consecutive technical fouls. Go after her, compete with her, get the better of her at every turn. Nobody's questioning that you can't go after her. What I was saying was, although whether it's jealousy, envy, resentment.
Stephen A. Smith didn't just criticize Angel Reese. He dismantled her entire self-proclaimed title as the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. When he said, "Either you deliver or you disappear," it felt less like a comment and more like a verdict. But what exactly made him snap? In this video, we break down the 4-point performance that turned admiration into demolition, and why Stephen A. thinks the Bayou Barbie mystique has finally hit its ceiling. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
The ejection happened after Reese was called for her 5th foul and was, quote, disrespectfully addressing, end quote, official Charles Watson. Since she's arrived in the WNBA, that kind of story gained national attention. It was something that was debated on my day job, First Take, on ESPN every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to noon. And in the process of talking about that particular subject, one of the things that I highlighted, the bottom line is, since Caitlyn Clark is the one here now, ride the wave. Rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. And that was the argument that I was making. And I was saying everybody ain't her. We ain't talking about it being fair.
How can one game erase a whole brand image? That's the question everyone asked after Angel Reese called herself the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. It sounded bold, confident, like a young star ready to take over the league. That phrase built her public image. It wasn't just about her game. It was about attitude, swagger, and a belief that she could dominate from day one. Fans expected every matchup to be a statement. But then came the game against the Indiana Fever, and everything flipped. The hype was real before tip-off. Caitlyn Clark was on the other side, drawing just as much attention. The WNBA leaned into it too, selling the storyline of a new rivalry. Instead, the scoreboard turned into a blowout. Indiana crushed Chicago 93-58. Clark went off for a triple-double, and Reese finished with only 4 points. Suddenly, that whole MJ of the WNBA line didn't sound groundbreaking anymore. It sounded risky.
Angel Reese is a rising star in the WNBA, drafted 7th overall by the Sky 2 months ago. On Monday, Reese addressed the media following that controversial technical foul on her teammate. It's not about fairness, it's about reality. The reality is that the max contract in the WNBA at this particular moment in time is $250,000 to a player. Caitlyn Clark is already committed to $28 million in endorsement deals, at least. Today, the WNBA rescinded the second technical upon further review, according to a league source, which does not mean much at this point in my estimation. Let me tell y'all why I'm bringing this up. Over the last few days,
people wanted to see if the confidence matched the numbers, and on that night, it didn't. Stephen A. Smith didn't let it slide. He pointed right at that 4-point stat and said, "The league doesn't wait for you to figure it out." He wasn't mocking her, he was challenging her. To him, the loss was symbolic, a moment where hype met hard data. Reese grabbed 12 rebounds, fought on defense, but missed easy layups, shot poorly near the rim, and spent time in foul trouble. Smith said, "You can't rebound your way into greatness. Boards are great, but you're supposed to put the ball in the basket." That hit hard because it was true. By the end of that game, the lesson was clear: production decides spotlight. Not nicknames, not social media, not potential. And Stephen A. was about to turn that idea into a career warning for Angel Reese. What made Stephen A. Smith's take hit harder than a normal celebrity takedown was the focus on the why. He wasn't arguing about a bad shooting night or a slow start.
Kennedy Carter, who shoved Caitlyn Clark, a move that drew national headlines. Reese made it clear that fans are watching women's basketball not because of, quote, one player, but because of her as well. Look at the wave that she's created. Look at the profile that it has granted the WNBA. Look, was that Caitlyn Clark's the golden goose. She happens to be a terrific talent who's white and very, very marketable. The combination of the two things make her the golden goose for the WNBA.
He peeled back the entire Bayou Barbie persona and asked what happens when confidence meets cold numbers. He talked about a marketing campaign searching for results, and that's when it stopped feeling like criticism and started sounding like a career warning. Smith's point was simple. Effort doesn't equal results in the pros. Hustle looks good until the scoreboard disagrees. Reese's work ethic is obvious. No one plays that hard on the boards without heart. But if the shots don't fall, effort becomes noise. That's where the league gets real. He compared that to Caitlyn Clark, who stays headline-worthy whether she's lighting up a defense or recovering from an injury. Clark keeps putting up stats, and that's what keeps her relevant. Reese, on the other hand, risks fading if the box score stays quiet. Smith argued that charisma without efficiency turns into empty marketing.
It's all justifiable because there were people that were pounding the pavement and going through so much to help elevate the WNBA's profile long before Caitlyn Clark ever came along, and yet were denied that level of recognition and that level of appreciation. The ratings for the WNBA draft was 2.446 million, which was the largest in WNBA history. The doubleheader that opened the season generated over 1.5 million viewers. Look at the record ratings they produced because of her arrival. Once upon a time, they were watching about the audience in Indiana for Indiana Fever games was at about 4,000. Now it's at about 16 to 17,000.
It's a valid point when you look at how Chicago has moved Reese around, trying to find the right spot for her to click offensively. The spark is there, but the output isn't matching yet. Nil fame helped her dominate college media cycles, but the WNBA isn't impressed by buzz. It only respects buckets. That's the cultural shift Smith was calling out. The league doesn't hand out patience. It demands production. What made his critique tough to ignore is that it wasn't personal. It was a spotlight on reality. The pros reward proof, not potential, and Smith turned that moment into a message. Performance is the paycheck, and branding can't carry you when the court says otherwise. Stephen A. didn't just destroy a comparison. He set a new standard for accountability in the WNBA. Angel Reese's moment wasn't really a rivalry anymore. It was a reality check. The story now is about what happens when hype meets harsh reality. Some even said, talent without focus is a ticking clock and Angel's time is running out. That's tough, but it's the truth in a league built on proof. So who really earns the spotlight now? Players with stats or those with slogans? Drop a comment below. Can Reese turn this criticism into a comeback, or has attention already moved on?